Hey there, welcome to this week's episode of our weekly highlights podcast style series. I'm Salvador. I am the founder and the owner of Detailers Growth. We are an advertising agency that specializes in advertising ceramic coatings, primarily on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to pass the mic over to Radu, our ad specialist.
Hey everyone, Dan here, or Radu. As the name says, the title ad specialist, I'm going every single day inside the ad manager, making sure that you get those leads, that the phone is ringing, and then making sure that those phone calls are high quality. So, in a nutshell, my main role is to make sure that you're booking as many jobs as possible.
And then we'll go over to Claudia.
Hi, I'm Gloria. I'm one of the success managers. I'm basically your point of contact every time you have an issue. I troubleshoot and make sure everything's nice between us, your campaign, and your CRM and everything, and you.
Love it. Let's go to Anthony.
Hey, I'm Anthony. I'm also a client success manager, and I'm also your point of contact, whether it is problems with your CRM or problems with your campaign. I'm also there to troubleshoot, and I'm very happy to help you.
And let's go to Alejandra.
Hi, I'm Alejandra, another success manager, but I'm working with the Close Marketing course. So I'm here to help to answer all of your questions about the course and sales.
Love it. And if you're new here, each week we share like the secrets of our top clients to see and show you what's working for them and how you can apply it to your business. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's jump right in. So today we're going to talk about the advantages slash disadvantages of both shop-based businesses and mobile businesses. So I want to kick things off by saying that they both have their pros and cons. Usually, the way that we see it across our client base is we get a client that comes on board with us. They're mobile, they're thinking about getting into a shop, but they just need that steady revenue. And that's really where we help our clients when it comes to advertising ceramic coatings, you know, transitioning from the detailing side of things to focusing on just ceramic coatings. So we have a really good track record of doing that, and we're going to break down the pros and cons that we see within our client base for both shop based businesses and mobile businesses. So, starting things off with shop based businesses, I think the thing that is very apparent is that shop based businesses have an easier time selling high ticket ceramic coatings, largely due to their credibility, their professionalism, and like just overall easier to build trust with. So when you have an established brick and mortar business, this really like cements your business as a detailing business that will stay within your local market, right? So when you're established like that, it just makes things a lot easier, especially if you've been a shop-based business for a number of years now. You build up a lot of reputation within your market, and it makes it a lot easier to sell. People tend to trust leaving their vehicle with a shop-based business, um, as just some of the main advantages there. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Radu so we can kind of go over some of the challenges when it comes to having a shop-based business.
Yeah, so obviously, when you have a shop based business, it heavily comes down to the location. So, you might imagine there are specific parts of your city or area where it might be way better to have a shop. And then maybe you might be in an area where it might not be that great to have a shop. Maybe it's super expensive opening up a shop. And in that case, it might be better stay mobile for a while. But either way, the main idea is that the success of a shop based business heavily depends on the location. So a prime location can attract way more customers, while a poor location can totally hinder the business. Well, at least in the beginning.
Yes.
Good part of it, client-based benefits. So when you have an established business, in a specific location, more people know you from that area, so it's way easier closing jobs then.
Yeah.
You're gonna run ads, people are gonna know you, you're gonna be the specific local celebrity, and then when people come in for a ceramic coating, it's already gonna be way easier to book that job. But until then, maybe being mobile might help. Depends on the location.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add there at the end is that when you make the transition from mobile to shop based, if you already have an existing clientele, like a list of customers that you've serviced before, it makes moving into a shop a lot easier and a lot smoother because you can lean on that clientele to kind of get that steady flow of traffic coming in throughout the week.
Yep.
So I'm going to pass the mic over to Claudia. She's going to talk about the advantages of mobile based businesses.
Yes. So basically, the advantages of the mobile base is that it allows a big amount of flexibility because you can have like a wider range when it comes to target location. You can basically move around to more areas than you would possibly cover when you're being a shop or you're located in a specific geographic area. And a plus and a bonus about that is that local shops usually they work on regular base hours, like
Yes.
9 to 5, not on the weekends. And a good thing that you can do with mobile is that you can manage your schedule. You can do even later during the day. You can work on weekends. You can choose whenever days you want to have off, and it's really flexible. And that's, I think, the most important part of being mobile, or the most like the greater advantage of that.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And just to add there at the end, the cool thing about when you begin advertising as a mobile based business is your radius can become a lot larger than if you're just confined to a specific location. So, like what we tend to see is a brick and mortar location, the majority of the customers will come within a 10-mile radius. But if you're mobile based, you can really expand, depending on your market, depending on the population of where you live, you can really expand that to 50 miles, 100 miles. You could really go pretty far depending on how far it would make sense for you to service that customer, right? It may make more sense to drive further if it's a higher ticket service. So
Yep.
I'm going to pass the mic over to Alejandra. She's going to cover like mobile based kind of business strategies.
Yeah. First thing is that when you have a mobile based business, you can have a flexible sales strategy because you're going to be a lot more flexible with your packages, with your prices, with all of your services, right? And another thing going with the prices is that you have a lower cost in general for your business because having a shop is pretty expensive. And without that money that you put in the shop, you can offer services these lower prices for your clients.
Yeah. So, like, I think a good example of that would be, right, giving somebody a discount if they're not super far from where your mobile business is headquartered, right? Yeah. I mean, you get a lot more flexibility for sure. I'll pass the mic over to Anthony, and he's going to kind of compare at a broad view both shop based businesses and mobile based businesses.
Yeah. So part of where you choose to start your business kind of depends on where you are with your business. So if you're not quite as established, maybe jumping into a shop based business might not be the best idea. Being mobile would probably work for you better. But just to sum it up, having an established business gives you a more professional view from the point of the leads. This is largely due to, having an established business, credibility, you have a location, people can picture where you are. And so an advantage of that would be, having also an established base of clients, so people that you can rely on to continually keep you booked. And you know, mobile base also has some advantages as well, and that being with radius and flexible packages, and you have a lower cost, as Alejandra mentioned. And so these are just things to keep in mind when you are having questions about whether to go on to having a shop or whether to stay mobile. There are some pros and cons, mostly with cost and radius, but also with perception of leads.
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap things up here, I think one of the biggest things that like we're noticing across our client base when they go from mobile based to in a shop is that upselling becomes a lot easier. So, think about the commitment that a client has if they're willing to stop by your shop, they're willing to do an in-person consultation with you, right? The level of interest is so high there that, you have a way higher chance of closing them. You would go from on average 20% closing rate over the phone all the way up to a 60% chance of closing that lead if they're in person. So think about just how much that person is more invested into getting their vehicle coded with you, if you have a established business, right? And I do want to again kind of tie back to what I said initially, that you want to make sure that everything that that client is seeing lines up, right? So what they see in the ad, to the way you talk to them on the phone, to how you kind of come off in person. So that's why we've noticed a big uptick in videos that are more authentic, more educational, more laid back. They're not super TikToky, performing really well as of recently, because I think a lot of people enjoy that slower pace. They want to be able to digest all the information you're giving to them, especially if they have never had their vehicle coded before. If you can like slow them down, bring them into your shop, not only are they there at your shop seeing what it looks like meeting you in person, but now you can be more illustrative with how you explain the entire process from start to finish. So instead of describing it in detail over the phone, you can get them in person, you can show them your process, you can show them the products you're using. And again, everything that we've talked about in this episode kind of stacks up on top of each other, right? So if you're professional, right, you're wearing a uniform, you're courteous, you're friendly, all of those things will help whether you're mobile based or shop based, right? I think that's the biggest
Yep.
thing that we see from a marketing point of view, from an advertising point of view, as what is working, right? So it's not one or the other. It's not, shop based businesses are working better. It's not, mobile businesses working better. It's, I think, the business in general that will make or break their growth, right? So
Yep.
if you're mobile based and you have a professional setup, you have uniforms, your van is wrapped, right? You're courteous, you have reminders, all of those things will give that customer a really good experience where, yes, you can stay mobile, you can advertise the convenience aspect, but if you're shop based, now you have a more kind of established business in their eyes, right? If you're mobile based, the cost to entry is way lower than a shop based business. So I think that's one of the hesitations that we see with clients who are mobile is leads, potential customers just saying that, hey, those things need to line up, right? You need to have a uniform, you need to have your van wrap, you need to be professional, you need to use good products in order to gain their trust with that person. So we'll leave you guys with that. And to kind of segue into next week's episode, we're going to be talking about how to deal with price shoppers, right? What to say, how to structure the conversation, tips and tricks that we see working across our client base. So we will see you guys next week. Bye bye.
Bye.